We're going to just entitle this actually Barry Lee Jordan for Newbies or Barry Lee Jordan 101 for people that are really not familiar with this YouTube character of almost, 10 years. Barry Lee Jordan he's a very uneducated man who comes from the United States, in fact, Alabama, and he comes from a poor family. And his admittance on YouTube is that he was molested by his father, which is a sad thing to happen to anybody. He's been bitter all his life, in part as a result of that, or possibly being picked on and bullied all his life. Barry Lee Jordan, who goes under the channel name actually Travel America, has been on YouTube for about 10 years. And from the first time he's ever stepped into the Philippines, this is for newbies. Let's call it Barry Lee Jordan 101. From when the first time he came to the Philippines, which was basically to get away from some bench warrants and from child support that he owes for his children, one boy and one girl. Well, he denies having the daughter, Cheyenne. And during his reign of terror, which we refer to in the Philippines, from the first time he's ever entered the Philippines, trouble started. Mr. Jordan has never made much on a so called, although most people think it's a fraudulent disability status. But Mr. Barry Lee Jordan has lived on this disability illegally in this country ever since he came here. Now, because he made so little money per month on his disability, although the Philippines is known to be a cheap place to live, but even on his Social Security disability, he found it to still be hard. So one of the things that he's well known for, and there's no disclaimer need for this at all, is only dating women by his own admission that has a job. Well, of course, there's a reason for that because Mr. Jordan predominantly drank a lot. I mean, a lot. And he smoked up to 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Though he claims to this day he's quit smoking, but he certainly is vaping. We know that. This is for newbies now, by the way, and just to refresh the minds of others. Now, during his, I call, reign of terror here in the Philippines, he has managed to date numerous Filipinas in this country. A lot of it has been very deceitful relationships. And again, he has used Filipinas left and right. Only ones that had a job or a place to stay for him. Mr. Jordan has never ever had any kind of home, apartment, or shelter that was practically habitable. So it was advantageous for him whenever he got together with a woman who could provide a place for him to stay. And for most places that he stayed, he would run out on the rent, would not pay electricity or internet costs, and would leave the woman standing there holding the bill. He would make statements such as, "Hey, it ain't under my name." On another occasion, and as many occasions, Barry Lee Jordan 101 for newbies. On one occasion, a man decided, this is just one, decided to trust him because Barry Lee Jordan needed a laptop so he could do his gaming and whatever he did with it. Again, the reign of terror. The man took out on one of them home credit companies, took out a laptop computer for Mr. Jordan in expectation that he was going to be making payments on it. Now, the man who was nice enough to do this for him was naive and did not really know his history. Mr. Jordan never made payments on this. So the man, known as Prince Cyrus, was held with the bill. And he was going to get in trouble for estafa. His mom had to step in and pay off the bill on the whole balance because he never made any payments to prevent her son from having any charges on him through the home lending company. Mr. Jordan claims, show me the paperwork. Show me where I signed off on anything. Well, he didn't. The man who was nice enough to get him that computer signed off on the paperwork for him. Afterwards, when he didn't pay, he fully denied that he ever got a laptop from anybody. His famous words are, show me the proof, which he's used these set of words for many situations, including the situation he's in now with 5 counts of cybercrime against him, but we won't get too far ahead. Mr. Jordan continued to date various women, and it was always the same scenario over and over again. They'd always break up. Usually the woman would leave him when they figured that they were turning into an ATM machine for Mr. Barry Lee Jordan. Some women didn't figure it out until a while later when he was always there asking for more money because he needed more cigarettes, he needed more alcohol to drink. A lot of the women gave in, but it came to a point where they recognized that there's no future with the guy, that he is with me because I have a job and I'm not here to support his habit of cigarettes and alcohol. And the relationship would be over. There's been incidents on camera where he was in full argument with a Filipina at a residence that I believe he was sharing with another YouTuber. And you could hear in the background through this partition him yelling at her. What you didn't see on screen was his pulling her by the hair out the door. Instead, he gets on camera and says, well, sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. Had to take care of something. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan has continued his reign of terror, reign of ugliness, ever since he's been in the Philippines. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan has never paid his visa fees for nearly 7 years. And he'd move from location to location for several reasons. Some places he'd move to, run up a rent bill or electric, whatever it might be, or both, and he'd secretly sneak out. Other reasons for moving around was because he did not want to bring attention to the Board of Immigration for his long-term overstay. In situation that happened, as it progressed, he stayed over his girlfriend, Charisma Saram, who lives in Karkar City. That is where he was captured by the immigration. And he was taken to a detention center in Mandawi, just outside of Cebu, where he remains for almost 23 months. And the reason he's been in there so long is because not only was he running away from immigration and got caught, but there were 5 cyber libel cases filed against him by yours truly, who utilized his YouTube show as a weapon to show his unhappiness that I was responsible in part by getting him arrested for his immigration overstay. And ever since he's been in the detention cell, he's been afforded the luxuries of using his cell phone as a weapon. And to this day, since he's been in there, he's been using his cell phone as a weapon against me to show his unhappiness that he has charges on him, that he's actually in a court trial as we speak, using his phone as a weapon. He would get on a daily basis and accuse me of doing the same things. That is the very reason why he has 5 criminal charges against him, calling me a pedophile, a child molester, and a slew of other expletives. Mr. Jordan has threatened my life on many, 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 many occasions on his live streams on YouTube. Mr. Jordan has incited other people against me to cause harm on me or mine from his jail cell, from his cell phone, the weapon of choice. To this day, even today, as it is broadcast, he was still threatening me. Although words went out to the various legal entities, he still possesses his cell phone and is still doing the same. So measures had to be taken in progress to make sure it doesn't happen again. In his incarceration, he has damned and cursed the U.S. Embassy. He has accused the Department of Immigration for taking bribes. He's in conflict with 2 lawyers so far that both dropped him because he was not a compliant client who did not want to listen to their advice. And he has been, since he's been in this detention center, very offensive, very threatening, very insulting, and has plotted and basically said straightforward that he wants to see me dead. He'd like to kill me for putting him in that situation. He's also, as I said, incited other people to do the same against me in the hopes that some Filipino out there will accept maybe like 50,000 from somebody to go and put a bullet in my head. All this information was gathered, given to my attorneys. This information was all turned over to numerous agencies. Now, what's in his jail cell? Mr. Barry Lee Jordan, the scourge of YouTube, has an ice maker, has a monitor, has a cell phone, has an Xbox, has a coffee maker, a water heater, and other paraphernalia. He even possesses a small junior sized baseball bat as a weapon. To this day, this has been allowed, and he has gotten away with having all these amenities when he's not supposed to. In regards to having a cell phone, I'm going to reiterate on that. A cell phone in a situation like that, I could see the possibility of having a prisoner use that to call their lawyer to order food. But Mr. Jordan has used that as a weapon, and that's the difference. This is even from the beginning when he had 5 charges against him of cyber libel. And by the way, Popeye, it's not liable, it's libel, Popeye. My God. Um, he continues to this day, to this very day. So measures are being taken to address this individual. He's on trial. Evidence was presented on screen of his crime to the judge, to the court. He went so far as not listening to the advice of his lawyer, and he pleaded guilty, which the lawyer was very upset with. During the court trial, there was a charge sheet that was put on me from his girlfriend. His girlfriend is Charisma Saram. who both planned and plotted to get me deported from this country. He admittedly coerced his girlfriend and others to do so. Henceforth, a report came out from the Department of Immigration to examine and analyze the evidence affidavit that was turned in from his girlfriend. This, of course, was an act of revenge because he wasn't happy being in his jail cell. He wasn't happy with the situation that he created for himself. This is Barry Jordan 101, by the way, if he's just turned in. During that time in his cell, and even prior to that, his so called reign of ignorance, reign of terror, was well before that period of time. Mr. Jordan has been nothing but trouble to this country, who's certainly not a model tourist. He's never been. He has used and abused so many Filipinos and Filipinas by ways demonstrated from his own YouTube shows. He looks down on Filipinas as if they're some kind of subservient creature, not a human. Says that women are going to listen to him. They're not going to tell him what to do. As far as the money situation, been proven and seen when a gentleman by the name of Pennsylvania Trucker, and there's lots of other people too, wanted to help his then girlfriend, Sheila, with her store. He donated 25,000 pesos, which is like 500 American dollars. Pretty significant. Mr. Jordan turned around and said, "No, send it to me. I'll give you the money." Well, of course, that was a mistake with Pennsylvania Trucker because Mr. Barry Lee Jordan took that money and only gave her less than half of what was earmarked for her and her business. This has all been documented. Everybody's seen it. No disclaimer on that whatsoever. Women to him has been nothing but an ATM machine. Now, that previous relationship, again, this woman took a while, but she finally woke up. He got mad at her because she was upset with him because she felt that she was a walking, talking ATM machine. He was always very needy. He'd track her down no matter where she was. I need some money to go buy this. I need some money to buy cigarettes. I need some money for booze. I need some money for whatever it might have been. So she woke up and said, enough. He tracked her down no matter where she was. Her name was Sheila. And you know her as Dimples. So she wanted to leave him. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan came on after that and he attacked her verbally on his show. He threatened to show intimate photographs, sexual photographs. Everybody's heard this. For you newbies out there that don't know what this is all about, he threatened. It was extortion. He threatened, extorted her, or tried to. And I'm going to show all your pictures. But it gets worse. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan then proceeded to tell people what they did in the bedroom, which was quite an embarrassment for Sheila, his ex girlfriend. And it's something that nobody should say ever. What goes on in a bedroom between a couple should be between a couple. But he gave intimate, delicate details about having certain types of sex with his ex girlfriend. This is the kind of person Barry Lee Jordan is, the kind of get even attitude, as reflected today by him coercing his girlfriend to do a phony report on me to immigration. We don't want to get too far ahead. his relationship with every woman he's ever been with ended up in tragedy or bad blood. He's not friends with any one of these ex girlfriends anymore, and for good reason. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan used to love to hang out in the bars. That's where he felt at home. That's his comfort level, drinking and chasing ass. That's what Mr. Barry Lee Jordan has done his whole time that he's lived in the Philippines. Always looking for somebody to buy him a free beer, a free drink, a loan. He has borrowed from bars and owed money to, and even on one incident, wielded a knife to a bartender after she politely reminded him that he still had a bar tab that he did not pay. He muted his phone. Everybody's seen it on the video where he took a knife out of his pocket to intimidate this woman. The same way he's been trying to intimidate me through emails going under a different name and his intimidation on his shows to try to get me to drop his case against him, which of course is never going to happen. Everything has been threats, intimidation, and I can't tell you all the expletives he has called me to this day and still does. As of now, Mr. Jordan is still in detention almost 23 months and counting, and he's facing the 5 charges of cyber libel. And this is going to go on for quite a while because both of his lawyers bailed out on him. They could not deal with him as a client. He was not cooperative. From his jail cell in Mandawi, Warden's Detention Center, he continues to use his phone as a weapon, being allowed by the guards, being allowed by immigration, perhaps. I don't know why they're allowing him, especially when they have had notices from my lawyer to the immigration of what was going on in his jail cell, what he's doing with his phone, and why he should not be using his phone for social media. There's been a few notices that have gone out to him that he has ignored. It is believed possibly that his phone was confiscated and he's using his girlfriend's phone now. He didn't want to stop. And speaking of non stopping, his famous statements are, I'm never going to stop, Frank. I'm never going to stop. He's going to continue to harass me and even uses the word, I'm going to kill you, he tells me, from his cell. And this information has been put out to every agency out there, but so far, nobody has cooperated in stopping him. There's been a lot of speculation as to why. But the room is getting closed in more so and more so as these different agencies are finally waking up. They're beginning to realize what's been going on all this time while he's been incarcerated. And it got to a point that my lawyer had to write up, which I believe he's finished today, a legal document that's going to address what he's been doing in his cell with video evidence, a cease and desist order on top of that. This is Barry Jordan 101 for those newbies that are just coming in here. Yeah, Heminger remembers. Yeah, I remember when he was talking about the rim jobs with his girlfriend. He certainly did. Uh, the Immaculate Room, huh? The fact is, Barry Jordan has gotten away with shit ever since he's been in that cell and well beyond that from when he first came to the Philippines. It's an amazing journey that he actually made to get to the Philippines, but it all was derived from getting away with certain responsibilities over in Alabama, the state that he lived and was born into. He had bench warrants. He had, on the lesser, there were actually criminal vehicular violations, criminal, not seatbelt or things like that. To the extent of the criminal on that, I don't know. Mr. Jordan has admitted that he spent 6 months in jail or prison in Alabama for attacking his wife, had to do with issues over the custody of their boy child. Mr. Jordan denies this after admitting it on many occasions. He said he would never harm anybody, he would never harm a Filipina, although people have their doubts. And we already know what happened with his wife because he had to go to court for that, and he spent 6 months in jail. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan has a career of chronic lying. It's now become a joke that if his lips are moving, he's lying. It's gotten that bad. Mr. Jordan spends his time on his phone, thinking of other ways he could harass me, insult me, make horrible allegations against me because he's unhappy with his loss of freedom. This has been continual for the past 23 months since he's been in a Mandawi Warden's Immigration Detention Center. He calls himself the boss of the third floor. It's suspected and has been pretty much calculated that he is suffering from some form of mental illness, not defined as of yet as to the extent of his mental illness. And where I come up with the words mental illness is simply by demonstration. All it takes is one to listen to his show, his behavior, his demeanor, his extremely immature attitude, his cockiness, his lack of self respect, his lack of respect, period, for people and for authorities on any level. That includes police, the courts, the lawyers, the immigration office, the U.S. Embassy, the Department of Justice. There's not one office that he has not verbally on his show attacked to this date. The future of Barry Lee Jordan is kind of up in the air. There will be more evidence that's going to be brought to the court, and it has everything to do from his behavior in the courtroom when he ran up out of turn because the session was over with a sheet of paper with a charge sheet, running toward the court reporter and the in-house, shall I call him an in-house fiscal. I got a paper here. I got a paper. His behavior was unacceptable and unacceptable in the courtroom and has been noted. And he's done it once before. He's even photographed me and my girlfriend in the court session where you're not supposed to be taking any pictures inside the courtroom, videotaped. Another incident, he ran up again with a paper, another paper against the court rules, ran up after the session, was trying to flash a piece of paper, which just happened to be a report that his girlfriend made on me. He was out of session, he was out of order, as he usually is. He continues to run his show without regard for his future. And that's why many people on here have come to the conclusion that he's not well mentally. And it's the talk of the town. Why is the question? With a man who's facing prison for 5 criminal, not civil charges, why would a man continue to go on YouTube platform, continue doing live streams, again, doing the same illegal crap that got him in trouble in the first place? And nobody can seem to understand it except to think in their minds that this man has a very low IQ, that this man has perhaps mental illness, which is apparent to a lot of people. It's not a crime being mentally ill. And whether you're mentally ill or not, it's still what you do. You are still responsible for your statements, for your material that's presented to a public media. However, there is really no excuse whether he has mental illness or not, or whether his maturity level is that of a 6-year old. We pretty much ascertained that Mr. Jordan is bitter with his own life. He's been dumped by more women than he could actually get. He was harmed as a child by one of his parents, which left an indelible mark, black mark in his life growing up, and has followed him into his adulthood. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan has a very bitter disposition, and it shows. He doesn't just attack me, but he attacks other people too when he doesn't want to hear what they have to say. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan 101 here. Mr. Barry Lee Jordan believes in freedom of speech, but does not understand the ramifications of freedom of speech and that there's a dividing line. This country or any other country, or what you could say about an organization, about a person, any individual, group, or member of any organization or company, or in fact, legal institutions, such as government institutions, such as the Immigration Office, the U.S. Embassy, the Department of uh, Justice, the Cebu District Court, the court itself, the lawyers, policemen, anybody in an authoritative position of authority. Now, one might say, after hearing all this guy has got some serious problems. Well, that would be an accurate assessment, that's for sure. A very accurate. Not being a learned person who holds a pedigree in the field of psychology or psychoanalysis, I cannot tell you what all the axis, or AXIS, different types of axis to describe the mental disposition of an individual. I cannot come on here and say that he's bipolar. I cannot come on here and say that he's manic depressive, borderline personality disorder. I don't know. Any one of us could do our own analysis based on perhaps your own knowledge of a family member who had such problems, or a friend or family member, or maybe you actually are board certified. And that would be nice for you to come up and talk about this. And you could tell us what you think he's suffering from. The man is obviously not working on all six cylinders, because you would not come on here when you are in a position that he's in right now. It's been for the past 23 months and counting, by the way. The man wants his freedom. Now, this is the part that doesn't make sense to most of us, except us understanding that there are perhaps, my opinion, mental issues going on with this man by his own demonstration, not as an insult, not as an assault, not as a criminal statement, but by his own demonstration. Disclaimer, I want to keep that legal. His demonstration has proved to every one of us that he does not understand his situation and what he's facing. He thinks this is a contest, and he wants to get the best of me by making more allegations against me, by continuing the same and using the same instruments that he's been using that got him the 5 counts of cyber libel against him, thinking for somehow in his sick mind that this is going to help him out. People call him a lot of names. They call him cocky, because you'd have to be awfully cocky and have to be an extreme narcissist to believe that by the continuation of what he does on his show is going to get him to see freedom at any time soon. Of course, you and I know better than that. Like the saying goes, you get more bees or flies, whatever, with honey. You get more flies with shit. Maybe he goes by that. Tossing shit around. Yeah, he'll get flies of attention, which also include governmental agencies that have seen his videos, have heard what he had to say, both in documentation, legal documents, and from listening to his live YouTube shows, which continues till today. We have collectively, as my legal team in Cebu and myself, have collectively formulated or put together a lot of evidence. Some of it that's been presented, some of that will be presented, and have come up with our plan to make sure this doesn't happen again. The plan is to take away his cell phone or the ability to use one unless it's under the supervision of a guard for the purposes of ordering food or talking to his lawyer, and that's it. Well, he's not going to be able to use the phone on a social platform in any formal way unless he has some kind of a business arrangement with his guards, which I can't say he does, and I'm not going to say he does, but it's been talked about that it is a possibility that they're letting him get away with a lot. Or maybe he got them to believe his foul stories about me, that I'm this terrible person, just as he does with the women that he dates. I never did this. I never did that. I'm not an overstayer. I never hurt a woman. I never verbally abused a woman. I never took money from anybody when I can't even imagine how many people he has taken advantage of for the 10 years that he has been in this country called the Philippines. It's monumental. He's not a very smart person, but he is very good in manipulating people out of their pockets. He wanted donuts today. So already he was trying to get people to donate to him so he can get donuts. Always acting like he has no money to get sympathy from people. But a lot of these people who donate either know or don't know is that he does get his Social Security disability quite illegally, but he's been getting it the whole time, although many times he has told his viewers to feel sorry for him, sympathy, simpatico, to collect money from his viewers rather than taking it out of his pocket. Mr. Jordan has been saving money for the whole 23 months that he's been incarcerated. He probably has a fair amount of money put away. Mind you, yes, he does have to put out money to order food because I don't think his girlfriend could do that on a daily basis. So I'm going to say that he probably does not have all the money from his Social Security disability payments, which, by the way, are fraudulent. You cannot be collecting your Social Security disability in this country. Regular Social Security, yes. He claims that they stopped his payments for some bullshit reason and continues to say so. And for all we know, his girlfriend believes what he says. That she's helping him out with a couple of pesos here and there. She's bringing him supplies all the time because he don't want to spend his money. It has also been pretty much figured out that booze has been snuck into his detention center, and we have listened to him drunk on numerous occasions. We have heard him in his detention room cleaning glasses when he had a guest over. They were clearly drinking. And on one occasion, which is the most recent, sort of, his inmate next door, Barry was just finishing a bottle of Jim Beam. He asked the guy, if you want to put some money together, we'll get another bottle and we'll drink. This is how stupid the guy is. While he's doing a live stream, Mr. Jordan has gotten away with a whole lot of shit. It's about time that this gets put to an end. And it will be. And again, I will not take a certain responsibility on what he does. That's all on his own. He's responsible for his own well being, for his health. Since he's been in there, he's probably gained about 80 pounds, and it shows. He's still eating unhealthy food. That's his doing, not mine. His weight is his doing, it's not mine. Mr. Barry Jordan put himself in that position. Nobody else. He put himself in that position. He will continue not to see freedom for probably a very long time in the years to come at this rate, as far as this court hearings are going, which are far in between hearings, and not having representation from his lawyer because they both dropped him. Two lawyers, if not three, in the beginning. He continues to do shows, being very cocky, and most of the audience is laughing at him. They're laughing because, and they've even tried to advise him and said, "You talk about wanting your freedom. We understand that," they said. But why are you doing the things you're doing now, which is going to hinder the possibility of ever getting out of any kind of lockup, whether it's there in the detention or he's eventually put into prison. And that's a good possibility because there was actually a signed report that was supposed to put him during the time we were at the Barilli courtroom, which is different than the one we are now in Toledo. It was a written order for him to go to prison. Somehow he streamlined himself out of that with immigration. I don't know. Written. So we're going to explore the possibilities of the already signed document and see if we can reintroduce that. So to make a very long story, continued long, I basically want to say that, you know, you are who you are. And what actions you take on yourself is not helping and hasn't helped since he's been in this situation. His future is very clear to most of us, certainly it's clear to me. He has hurt people the whole time he has been in this country. If anybody is an undesirable, he's in the number one position on that. Undesirable. He's undesirable in every definition of that word. Every definition. I hope he will, Triple X. Yeah, I think he will. Mrs. Hemish's Bummer is trapping himself in a cell for 5 years to earn free room and board. Well, as I said, he's doing that all to himself, and I'm very grateful for him for doing that. It makes my job a lot easier. Now, again, I'll reiterate about something else that we're always talking about. Any newbies on here? This is Barry Lee Jordan 101. And most of you are aware that because of his unhappiness with his situation, he convinced his girlfriend to do a report to immigration against me to try to get me deported. And in that report was false information, all falsified. It was instituted by her boyfriend, who admitted on a recording. That turned into the lawyer and to the immigration that he coerced his girlfriend to doing this report. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean what she said is true. He wants revenge. His revenge is to try to get me deported out of this country, as if that's going to solve his own problems, which it's not. It's just going to create more problems for him and his girlfriend, his accomplice. That's what's going to happen. So one thing turns into a bad thing that turns over into a worse thing, and it's a domino effect all the way. Of course, he's too stupid to figure out that what he's doing is harming himself and potentially his girlfriend. But his reign of terror continues and will continue until the phone is taken away from him. And I have a good feeling that this time it is going to happen. Finally. What will he do with himself in his cell without a phone? Well, there's a lot of things he could try to do. If he has a cellmate, he could pay them a couple of pesos to use their phone. He will go that far. He will go as far as trying to use the guard's phone. But if he's caught doing another live stream and does the same after his phone has been confiscated, that he's committed another crime where he was told, and in legal form perhaps, that you cannot be using a phone in your cell because of your death threats and your intimidation to Mr. Battaglia and intimidating other people and inciting people to do violent acts against me. Ain't gonna work that way, dude. They catch you back on after you get your cell phone off, and you're gonna be even in more trouble. So why don't I just tell you this? Forget about your freedom in the future. You're not going anywhere for a long time. And this is the last time I'm going to talk about this. I was in the mood to do a show. This is the last time I'm going to talk about this in regards to your future. Your future is clear. You're not going anywhere. How long have you been saying you're going to be home next week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks? Well, you'll be home for Thanksgiving. You'll be home for Christmas. You'll be home for New Year's. It's been almost 2 years you've been saying that. Am I correct? What makes you think that what you're doing right now and have been doing for the past 23 months is going to help your situation at all? It's not. And I'm very happy about it. I'm not happy about what you say to me on public media here, calling an innocent man a child predator at the same breath, say, no, I don't think Frank would ever touch a child. But then on the next breath, he's saying that I did something to a child when all it was a stupid fucking song. He really made use of a civil case I had in Hawaii, which is the only thing he has to try to make me look bad, which is a civil case. And yes, I owed money on a civil case. And the only reason is because, well, I wasn't there in person. It has nothing to do with evidence shown from me, but I don't want to get into that. That's all he talks about. You're going to pay what you owe these people. What do you care about it? Why is it your business if I owe money to a collection agency now in the United States? What is it your business, Mr. Jordan? It's not your business. It's not your business. Besides being irrelevant to your case. Hmm. Sid says it's a retaliatory complaint not based on facts. Yes. Sid says he loves detention, but he needs an upgrade. Well, we're going to give him an upgrade. I don't know if it'll be an upgrade to him. Probably a downgrade. The only time he's going to shut his mouth is when the phone's taken away from him. And that's what we're working on right now. Exactly right now. Not hearsay, not bullshit, but reality. And once he gets into a real prison, I will celebrate. Because it's not going to be easy for him with his mouth to be in a prison. He's going to get his ass whooped in a big way. Because he can't shut his mouth. Maybe he figures he'll fit in. He's got the tats. He's got the bald head and he's toothless. Maybe he could try to blend in as one of the inmates. Not with that white skin of his, he ain't. Sorry. He figures he was in prison once before for 6 months. How would you like to be in prison for maybe 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 years? Which is basically will probably be a life sentence to him because I don't think he's going to live beyond those years. He's not a healthy person. But hey, please don't let me stop you from doing your shows. I'm not going to stop you anyway because you're going to continue to do because you're an idiot, a moron. Kind of shit can be a real moron. A word that he likes to use and mispronounce, but his demonstration is of such. He thinks people are following him because they like him. No, again, it's the train wreck. They're waiting for constant train wrecks, and he's causing a lot of train wrecks for himself. It's not getting any better. And I'm loving every minute of it. I just talk about it. I'm not stressed out from all this anymore. I was in the beginning saying, this guy's a fucking irritant. But I've gotten to the point where I expect to hear this from him. I expect him to call me a predator, a child molester, which I'm not, a groomer, and so many other expletives and allegations. But I know that he will be paying for this, and that's why I remain calm on this because payment day is coming. In fact, payment has already came. He's already spent the best of 23 months without freedom. That's a victory right there as far as I'm concerned. And more to come. More to come. He ain't seen anything yet. No lawyer even wants to represent him. It's not a money issue with him anymore. It's not a matter of him gathering money because he's still never paid off all the fines and immigration fees. The other penalties and anything else that's going to come up as a result of this trial. Lawyers' fees, punitive damages. And the list just, it goes on. The list just goes on. He doesn't understand what he's in for, but he will. I'm not going to pay you nothing, man, he says. You ain't getting a dime off of me. Cold in here. You get a dime off of me. Well, I don't have to. That's the beauty of this. If you can't or don't want to pay, you cannot play. You're going to be incarcerated even longer. Yeah, that's right, Barry Lee Jordan. I don't know what kind of strategy you think you're using, but your strategy has not worked at all, except with your ace in the hole of trying to get me deported. But if something like that ever happened, which I doubt, that's your only ace in the hole that you hold. That's it. But either way, it doesn't change your situation. Mr. Jordan is under the impression that if I got deported, that the case is over, that he's free. Nope, that's not true information. The case still goes on with or without me. As long as my lawyer is retained, the case goes on. He could act as proxy for me. He already has a power of attorney to speak for me. Absolutely. I don't need to be in that courtroom unless I have to testify, which is coming up. Whenever the next hearing is in 10 months, 3 months, 2 months, who knows? But he gets to enjoy his deluxe accommodations. Okay, best and the brightest is back. I disagree. I feel Obama is a coward. He will keep his mouth shut and do as he's told in prison. Yeah, well, it's going to be a different environment in prison. That's my point. Exactly. He'll quiet down in prison because he knows he's going to get the paddle. And I think you guys have seen the documentaries. You got inmates in charge now in there that help the guards out because they're understaffed. Too many people, not enough guards. So, what they do in the prison system, as you probably very well know, they appoint trustees, they're called. These trustees will handle the other prisoners. And the reason they'll do that is because they get benefits from there. They may get more food, they may get better accommodations. It's a step up. And if they see, and these are the inmates, if the guard says that this particular prisoner is out of line, he tells the trustees, and the trustees take over his job, and he'll get the paddle. They'll lay him on a flat surface with a very heavy wooden paddle, looks like an oar. And according to what he did, or if he did it repeatedly, will determine how many really strong shots of that paddle on his ass. And by the documentaries I've seen, these prisoners who wind up getting the paddle, they hurt so much they couldn't stand up. They were curled up in a ball. I could see that happening with him because he doesn't know how to shut his mouth. I could definitely see that. And that's what's gotten him into trouble the whole time because he can't shut his mouth. Not even with having 5 charges against him. He goes and does the same shit over and over again. How many times could I have to say that? Does it not absorb his fucking brain or what he has as a brain? That little pea that he calls a fucking brain. the IQ of a flea. And I don't know, I don't want to insult any fleas because they might have a bigger brain or better function than his fucking brain. And I could say that freely without any kind of criminal interaction for what I'm saying, without any disclaimer, because this is what he displays on his show. This is what everybody listens to and hears and sees. It's on public media, it's on a public platform. I can say that. I can say that because I've got recordings of it too to back it up. The beat goes on, but it's not an upbeat, it's a downbeat. He's downtrodden because he caused himself to be downtrodden because he can't shut his mouth. He's yelled at his own viewers, people that have donated to him and blocked him or called them a bunch of horrible names. Fuck you if you're not going to donate to me, and a lot of other expletives. This is what this man is all about. He's one of the most undesirable expats that could ever be in this country. I'm sure there's some like him or worse, but he's got to be on the top of the list. Hope you're getting this, Popeye. He's like, give Popeye something to talk about. Why am I so nice to Popeye? I don't know. Got to help the old fella out. He's not doing very well these days. I hear his cough at the end of his sentences. Something going on with that guy. Ricky's been pretty quiet, huh? No action, I guess. Can't even pay a girl to be with him. Has it gotten down to that? That's his business. Fuck him and the horse he rode in on. But Mr. Barry Jordan 101, if you're new to this channel and you're wondering what it's all about, if you've been listening, now you understand who the person is, who the character is, what's going on. If not, then you are being refreshed as to when Mr. Jordan first came into the country. And I did not I did not talk about all the incidents because there's too many to talk about. It would have to be a 4-hour show. Left and right, but women, men, other and Filipinos, and on and on and on and on. Enjoy your future, Barry. It's not going to be a bright one, I assure you.